It's time for the Freedom Club podcast. I am your host, Curt Mercadante. Greetings and salutations. I hope you're having an incredible day, a wonderful week, an awesome 2019 filled with freedom and fulfillment. And if you don't have the freedom and fulfillment you desire and deserve in your life, know that you can design that lifestyle. You do not have to live a lifestyle simply of default. And if you need help getting out of that rut and designing that lifestyle, visit my website, curtmercadante.com today. My vision, my mission in life is to save the world by helping you live a life of freedom and fulfillment. That a big part of freedom to a lot of people is getting out of their toxic workplace, their 9-to-5 corporate job, and building their own company. And to do that, building a personal brand sure is helpful, a personal brand that actually sells. For others, building a personal brand is about selling themselves in a way that helps them move up the ladder in an industry or a career in which they are fulfilled. That's why I want to help you build your personal brand, but I want to cut through the bullshit. That's why I invite you August 15th at noon Eastern, join my No BS Branding webinar. Listen, if you're content with those personal branding coaches who've never built a damn thing in their life, but are suddenly LinkedIn famous because they got several thousand views on a few videos, and they're going to talk to you about how building a logo and some color schemes are important to building your brand. If you're content with that, go with them. But if you want someone who for the better part of 30 years has been helping corporations, small businesses, individuals, trade associations build their brands and do it in a successful way, then please join my webinar. I'm happy to have you. Again, August 15th, noon Eastern. Look at the link, click on the link to register in this post or in the show notes. So I do want to talk about branding today. And in my Facebook group last week, I asked people for some questions. Listen, if you're just starting out building your personal brand, what are your questions? And I wasn't surprised at all by the questions I got. And I don't mean this to demean those who ask the questions, but there are some of the exact wrong questions you should be asking yourself if you're just starting out and building your personal brand. They are very tactical and tools-based, which I do about my logo. Should I use written or video posts? What social media network should I be on? I'm not saying those questions aren't important, but they're important down the line. Folks, you got to start at the starting line. And by focusing on those very tactical and tool-based items, you're way down the route. You're on the way to the finish line. You got to back it up. You got to start more broadly. And as I said in an earlier episode, I truly believe, and I know it to be true, that when you're building your personal brand, you have to start from within. That's what authenticity means. Again, there's so many bullshit artists here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, who talk about authenticity, and then they spend their time communicating a brand that is authentically someone else. Hell, part of it is they're not lying. They don't even know who they are as people. You have to identify who you are as a person. You have to know your truth. You have to live your truth. You have to speak to that truth. And in that case, I ask you, what is your vision for your life? That vision that pairs your purpose for living with the impact you want to make on the world. You have to define that. That's about knowing who you are and knowing where you want to go. I ask all my clients and people with whom I train to define that clear life vision before they build a business. You don't want to build a business that's going to be such a big part of your life that it's going to be sharply divergent for where you want to go as a human being. So define that vision that pairs your purpose and impact. And when you build a business, make sure it aligns with that vision. Know your purpose for the business, the impact you want to make on the world. When it comes to personal branding, what is your purpose for building that personal brand? And what is the impact you want it to have on the world? And when I say you're a business owner and your impact on the world, of course, I'm talking to your customers. Who do you want to serve? Who do you want to work with? You got to clearly and very narrowly define your ideal customer. And that's a big challenge, a big mistake I see from so many business owners out there. I ask them, who's your ideal customer? And it's like everyone. When you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. You become vanilla and easy to tune out. You know, Seth Godin talks about the purple cow in a sea. of brown and white spotted cows. It's the purple cow that sticks out. And it's not about being different just to be different. It's about being authentically and uniquely you. And you match that with your ideal customer, and it's a match made in heaven. So you got to clearly and narrowly define that ideal customer. Then you got to identify what impact do they want from you. Because remember, customers care about what's in it for them. What's in it for them. That's why they're going to listen to you. That's why they're going to listen to your message. That's why they're going to be attracted to your brand. In the end, that's why they're going to buy your product or service. So it's not only knowing who you want to work with, it's knowing who is in need of your service, because your product or service is going to have a positive impact on their lives. You have to clearly identify that and wrap your message around that. Because as my friend Zach Messler likes to say, customers and consumers don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your product, your bells, your whistles, your features. Again, what's in it for them? What impact is it going to have on their lives? So once you define that, you know your vision, you know the purpose for your business, for your brand, hell, for your life. You know the impact you want it to make on the world, on your customers. You've clearly identified who your customers are. You've clearly identified the value that your product or service provides to them in terms of what's in it for them. Now you got to look at, where are your customers? Where do they live? Not just physically, but online. Are they on Twitter? Are they on LinkedIn? Do they watch video? Do they listen to podcasts? Are they more likely to be reached via email, or hell, even direct mail, or yes, even cold calling or networking events? Whatever it is, you can't determine that based on what works for someone else. Yes, LinkedIn has worked extraordinarily well for me. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you, because you have a different vision, you have a different style, you have a different brand, you have a different purpose, you have a different ideal customer. So don't start with the tools and the tactics and the logo. Hell, I had 10 clients before I even had my logo designed and before I even had a website. You don't have to build the brand before you sell. You got to define your vision for your business, for your brand, that pairs your purpose with your impact. You have to clearly and narrowly define your ideal customer. You have to know what's in it for them. Wrap your message around that. Then determine where those customers live, where they breathe. Then take your message there. Now, it goes much deeper than that, and I'm going to get in much deeper in my No BS Branding webinar, August 15th at noon Eastern. Register at the link in the comments. But if you're starting off by building your brand, by asking yourself questions that are tactical and tools-based, what's my logo? What's my color scheme? What does my website look like? Should I be on LinkedIn or Twitter? Should I do video or written? You're going in the wrong direction. You got to back way up to the starting line. That's where you begin. Come and learn more on my webinar, August 15th, noon Eastern. This has been the Freedom Club Podcast. I'm your host, Curt Mercadante. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.